So children in the United States are 80% more likely to die before they hit the age of 19 versus other high-income countries. This is according to a new study that just came out where they reviewed more than 300 different data sets. They looked at child mortality up to the age of 19 for the years 2007 up to 2023. And it's really crazy seeing some of the trends. They found that the US experienced 54 excess child deaths per day compared to other high-income countries, and that children's health in the US has overall worsened since 2007. For infants, prematurity and SIDS and congenital anomalies appeared to drive mortality. For children ages 1 to 19, however, the biggest cause of death were, what are you going to guess? What do you think it's going to be? Firearms, pew-pews, and motor vehicle crashes, substance use, and homicide. Children in the United States were 15 times more likely to die by firearms, pew-pews, than children in other high-income countries. Duh! But let's continue to pretend like that's not a fucking problem, right? The reason that I'm talking about this is, plastic's a big part of this. What drives premature birth? Well, a lot of the chemicals from plastic, PFAS, phthalates, bisphenols, all of those drive premature birth. It's really interesting. Asthma is actually going down, which is wonderful. Deaths due to birth asphyxia are lower in the United States versus other high-income countries. So chronic conditions are skyrocketing in children, right? So the prevalence of sleep apnea tripled between 2010 and 2023. And rates of obesity more than doubled during the past decade. And just so you know, they've pretty much doubled every single decade since they started researching this in the 1970s. Autism rates nearly tripled. Developmental disorders such as dyslexia, speech delays, and intellectual disability had the greatest absolute difference over time, increasing 410 to 841, more than doubling per 100,000 children. This is the reason why I started deep diving on this topic of plastics and endocrine disrupting chemicals like 10 years ago. This is why, right? So neurodivergence, obesity, developmental disorders, all of those things are comorbidities of endocrine disrupting chemicals, aka the chemicals that come out of plastic. Currently, 46% of children have clinical diagnoses of chronic conditions. 46%. That is insane. Rates of dermatologic symptoms soared nearly 5-fold from 2010 to 2023. Those are linked to the health of the gut microbiome, which has so much to do with obesity and neurodivergence, right? And rates of unspecified pain nearly quadrupled, and menstrual disorders, hormonal issues coming from, of course, this isn't just plastic. It's not just environmental. So much of this has to do with having a really crappy healthcare system and a lack of access, and also a really crappy ultra-processed food culture in this country. All of those things are connected. One of our biggest sources of endocrine disrupting chemicals is from our food, not just food packaging, but literally the processing. The more processed a food is, the more chemicals from plastic and the more microplastics that are in it. And so many of these are directly connected to the health of the mother as well, right? And if a mother doesn't have access to fresh, unprocessed foods or doesn't have the money to easily access that, then that will directly impact the health of her child.